call to order South Fayette Township Planning Commission meeting, March 3, 2026. We'll start with a roll call, please.
Tom Iagnemma.
Here.
Doug Kaine.
Here.
Joseph Johnson.
Here.
Jamey Noland, not present. Danny Cerrone, not present. And also Jason Paulovich.
Here.
And Chris Seymour.
Here.
Pledge, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have the approval of the minutes from our January 22nd meeting. Does anybody have any questions or comments on those minutes? Can we get a motion to approve, please?
So move.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Old business, we have none. New business, review and discuss S01 2026, second revision to the Koski Plan of Lots, preliminary and final minor subdivision application, parcels 256L1, 256L2, 256L9. This is zone C2. So we have a subdivision consolidation of 3 lots at the corner of Newberry Drive and Millers Run Road. We go through the review letter on this.
Yes, we do have a review letter. Joe, I don't know if you want to maybe step up and just kind of give a brief explanation of the intent of the subdivision. I mean, it's a relatively minor action, but it obviously goes along with the land development item that's further along.
Sure, yeah. So, thank you. This is direct at the Planning Shopping Center, which is next on the agenda. But basically, all we're doing here is there are 3 lots. This is where the foremost auto is. There's one small art parcel here along Millers Run Road, and then the Koski lot runs completely parallel along Millers Run Road. So all we're doing is combining these 3 lots and then creating a new line to the west of our proposed development. And this was all part of the Planning Shopping Center, so it's tied to the previous submission that we had already run through the land development and subdivision process. None of this has changed as it relates to the area. We're still at 4.439 acres. Simply to consolidate and then establish a new lot line with the along the road.
Just to confirm, so the intended subdivision that you currently have in for review here, this is identical to what was approved in 2023?
Yes.
So, and just for everyone's benefit, there were 3 applications that came through in 2023 that came before the planning commission, and they were recommended for approval, and then ultimately the board approved them. There was a conditional use for the planned shopping center, which was approved, and it was our determination administratively that conditional use did not need to come back through. It's the same intended use that was approved. That approval is still valid for 5 years from when it was issued. So the only 2 new applications associated with Lafayette 180 would be this subdivision, which has not changed from what you approved previously, and the land development, which we'll approve here shortly. Now, we did have some comments, the county had some comments regarding the subdivision, nothing noteworthy. And Joe, unless you wanted to speak to any of those, I mean, they were administrative in nature.
Yep, correct. The captions were actually just a regurgitation of the exact same thing that they issued in 2023. They even noted that our comments had been addressed previous submission.
They were just reporting clauses in nature and suggestive items, but nothing, of any substance.
So on the diagram or the drawing you're showing here, the red is supposed to indicate lines that will be abandoned, and the blue is new.
Yep.
And there will be 1 new lot, correct, created from those 3. And can you just outline the new lot?
So it'll be this blue line here, and it'll run completely parallel to the railroad, up along Newberry Drive, up to the corner where the right away of Newberry Drive meets Miller's Run Road, and then parallel to Miller's Run Road, and then
That little draw, okay. So the back, as I'm looking at it here, matches exactly with the right-of-way
Yep.
for the railroad. There's no overlap, no easement, no, okay, thank you.
The remnant Hosky parcel, which would be on the far left of your sheet there, we're not landlocking that parcel. He's got common ownership, yes, and frontage also.
And as part of our project, we're granting him an access easement. That way he'll have access from both further down Miller's Run Road and then also off of Newberry Drive.
Other than that review letter that we need to
There's our review letter of February 19th, and there's the county's review letter of September 19th of 2023, which they did not provide a new date on their review letter. They did review both the subdivision and the land development applications, and I believe that they noted in their correspondence that they were not going to issue a new dated letter, if you will. So their review is of September 19th of 23. Economic development.
So I think it does get to that. Not that we necessarily want to send people over there, but it does get there.
Does not match that.
Well, this is probably wrong because it's
Yes,
the county's
yes.
website.
That's why I wouldn't, yeah. I see that we have the sales agreement attached to this submission so that that all gets taken care of. Okay. Anything else? We got a motion for this one?
I'll make a motion to approve S-01-2026, second revision to the Kroski plan of lots, preliminary and finer minor subdivision application, parcels 256-L-1, 256-L-2, and 256-L-9, Zone C2. In accordance with the GTE review letter dated February 19th, 2026, and Allegheny County review letter dated September 19th, 23.
Second?
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll move to new business B. Review and discuss SP 01-2026 Lafayette 180 Planned Shopping Center, preliminary and final land development application, parcels 256L1, 256L2, 256L9, all zones C2. And we want to start with Jason or an applicant?
You know, I'll jump in first. I did want to note, as part of the land development application, and again, we're going back here now to 2023 when they originally came in, there were 4 previous variances that were granted through your zoning hearing board that relate to this project. And those are still valid for this application. Largely, this application, in a lot of ways, mirrors what you previously approved. The footprint, the parking layout, a lot of that is nearly identical to what came through in 2023. Most noteworthy, they added some second level square footage for offices, and then we'll get to that with the elevation view. But aside from that, a lot of this is exactly as you had seen it previous. And I do want to just kind of go through those variances if I could. Variance was granted to allow the lot area of 4.4 acres, which is departure from the required 5.0 acres for a planned shopping center. So that one was granted. And Tom, if you're jotting this down, that was 240-51A1.
Thanks.
The second variance was for a reduction to the setback on Miller's Run Road. side yard setback from 20 feet to 1 foot. And that's the departure from 240, 111, J2. The third variance was a reduction in the front yard parking setback from 20 feet to 8 feet for Newberry Drive. And that is a departure from 240, 111, J2 as well. The fourth one is,
That was 8 feet from 20?
20
yes,
to 8.
correct,
Yeah.
from 20 down to 8. The last one was to allow an exceedance of the maximum impervious surface area from the required 70% to 84%, and that's a departure from 240, 51C. And those are all from the area and bulk regulations section.
So we refer a lot back to the 2023. Is the primary reason this is here is time or changes or
The
both?
primary reason this was here is the increase in square footage and the potential impact that it would have on traffic patterns and potentially parking.
Got it.
So that's why we thought that it was too much of a change to simply handle it administratively. So we thought it'd be best to bring it back through planning and allow the board to make a decision on this as well.
Do you happen to have a rough idea of what that square foot went from and to?
We do.
Yeah, so the total was approximately 13,000 square feet. And looking on the screen, and I have the elevations here as well. That square footage was added to the center section of this building. The tenant there was looking to have more warehouse storage, just storage for their materials, and then some additional office space. So 4,000 square feet of that will be warehouse and storage, and the other 9,000 square feet is office. So it was simply just adding
Yep.
vertically to the plan. that
And then what's the new total overall?
The total usable was based off the traffic counts, because the warehouse and storage was 54,420, and the absolute total is 58,420.
Because of the 4,000 warehouse.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
So forgive me, the 4,000 warehouse and 9,000 office were both added. So we're 13 bigger than it was before, and that all rolls into the 54, or is that 13 on top of the 54?
No, the 58,420 is the new total.
That's everything in, okay. Got it.
And Jason, from our records, we did have one additional variance that was approved.
Okay.
That directly corresponds with the impervious percentage. We increased that from 70 to 86%. There was another section of the code, 240-95A-36J, that talks about minimal open space. And we reduced that from 20% to 16, which matches up with the maximum.
So that's a new variance, not from 23.
No,
For
that
for the impervious?
That
For
was
the
also approved in 2023.
There were 5, not 4, you're saying?
Well, hold on a second. So Jason had indicated there was a max impervious that went from 70 to 84 back in 23.
Is that essentially the same thing, Jason, with it being,
It's a different section of the ordinance, and we'll obviously verify that with the transcripts from that, but essentially that is the
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah.
So that's not gonna have any bearing on this.
Correct.
84 or 86?
84. I may have misspoken.
No,
It should be 84.
Okay, so I think I follow now. So you were indicating, you were kind of repeating what he had said about the impervious surface, and then you said because of that, there was an issue with open space.
Correct.
that you didn't have as much as you had before you increased
Yes.
office space? Okay.
We originally went through it, we got those first four, before we did this mission, and then as we were working through it, that was identified, and
Okay.
it was a separate section of the zoning code, which we also obtained that variance.
Okay, so Jason, we kind of opened it up to you to start, and you had mentioned those. Is there anything else that you want to go through before the applicant speaks, or what's the best way you think here?
Joe, I think it's probably worth noting why there was a 3-year delay in this. I know you guys were working through environmental permitting and whatnot, and just for the benefit of the planning commission, wanted to verify that is all remedied, and you've got, I've seen the approved MPDS permitting for it, so I was aware of it, but that's what caused the lull in time here.
Yeah, so kind of some background on that. We went through some historic environmental features that were on this site. So we have been working with Allegheny County Conservation District and DEP. So we have gone through the joint permit process to mitigate those environmental features. And tied directly to that, we did a resubmission of our NPDS permit for the ENS and stormwater controls. We received the NPDS approval in January of 2026, and then just last week we received the DEP joint permit. So we have final approvals on those items. Previously, we received approval from DEP for a sewage planning module, so that has been obtained. And then for the two entrances here along Miller's Run Road, being that Miller's Run is PennDOT Road, those HOP permits, they have all been submitted. Comments have been addressed. It's just in the final stages of just finalizing those documents and having those permits in hand. But all their comments have been addressed. And then also building permits have been submitted and they're under review. But those haven't been fully approved.
Some of the comments we had in were related to parking, and, you know, as was demonstrated previously and with this application, based on shopping center use, they are compliant. You know, we had made some suggestive type comments that you may want to plan for specific uses. If you know what these specific uses are, and I understand you may not at this point in time, we just don't want to see you get into a situation where the development is underparked. Do you have any comments on that, or you know, feel for where you're at as far as what you need versus what ordinance requirements are and that type of thing?
Yeah, and we're certainly aware of that because obviously we don't want this underparked. For Craig's sake, if people don't have anywhere to park, they're not going to go to his shops here. So as of right now, we believe we have enough parking. All the tenants haven't been fully acquired to tell us any differently. So at this point, with the information we know, he does have some idea on some tenants, so we planned accordingly for that, but nothing has been finalized. I don't know, Craig, if you want to speak any further to that?
Yeah, we don't, yeah. Like a lot of things with Newberry, it's been, we don't know when we're going to start. We haven't been able to tell people when we're going to start to get through the DEP, so we have no leases signed yet. There are a lot of interest. We're talking to a lot of different tenants, but until we can say, hey, yeah, we're going to start this year, or we're going to start this spring or this summer, nobody's ready to move forward and do a deal yet. So we have no leases signed yet. We're talking to restaurants, retail, you know, my eye doctors, those kind of services as well, those different type of places, cell phone stores. We're trying to balance it out. So we have, you know, don't overwhelm our parking lot because that doesn't do anybody any good. So we have a lot of parking in the back for employee. We actually created a breezeway through the middle. We took a little bit of square footage out. That's one of the changes we made too. Under the 2-story, we created a breezeway through the middle. Took a little square footage out so people can pass back and forth through there. But yeah, we feel pretty good about where we're at. No one's had an issue with parking or where we're at. We have 4 rows out there, and it kind of narrows down at the other end. The other end will have lower volume parking users down there, is the idea. So we feel good about it. We're right there with code. I think we were over code before, but we're right there with code now.
And as it stands, they are compliant. And quite frankly, from a planning purpose, 1 space per 200 square feet is typical for this type of project. And I wanted to note also, they also included that for the office, which quite frankly, office is generally 1 per 350 square feet. So they're, they kind of went above and beyond as far as that goes, so.
Yeah, we think some of the uses it's conservative and some of the uses it's not, so I think
I mean,
overall.
obviously, if you end up with all restaurants, and that's gonna be problematic, but,
Well, yeah, there's too many exclusives. Everybody with the American food, okay, that's one of those. I mean, it is, right? So that won't happen. And we need to mix it. We need a good mix. It's a community center. It needs to be that. So we need to have we're going to have a pro bike and run store in here, which will be a very low parking user type of thing. We may have a spa in here. We'll have some services, and we'll balance that out with, cell phone stores don't have much parking, right? Banks don't. So we're just going to work through it, but we're going to have the fun places in here too. The ice cream shop and the restaurants and things like that, fast casual and regular. So just trying to balance it out, make it work for the community, and then it'll work for everybody. It's the idea. Yeah, and it's a tough site. As if you remember, the back right corner of that is cut because of the sewer line. And then the front, we have the 50-foot setback with a DOT, and that's kind of became our impervious green space as we looked at it. So we're going to have a big yard in front of us, just like the neighboring center does. Yeah. And then the right in, right outs will help alleviate traffic a lot, I think, on 50, because there's 2 of them. And then the one on the end will actually feed straight over through John's property, which is good, the rest of his property. And so we'll have flow through. So whatever he does in the future there, people won't have to come out on 50. We had a lot of time to think about everything, I think. So, yeah.
So the traffic flow is obviously a big topic, and can we just review what the traffic impact study said? And then as part of that, are there any issues with HOP on 50?
I'll jump into that first, Tom. So obviously, when it was previously approved, there was a full traffic impact study. All of the proposed entrances and movements were approved without any substantial improvements. Obviously, no signals, no restrictions on Newberry. I mean, basically, that's full access. You can exit the site, make a left on Newberry to go in towards Topgolf or whatnot. All of those movements from Newberry in both directions are available and open. And with the proposed changes and increase in square footage, the addendum, if you will, to the traffic impact study confirmed that those are all still valid. Now, obviously, they had gotten PennDOT approval on the previous impact study, but that approval did note, and it's a comment in our letter, that if there are changes to this, you need to go back in and get a revised approval, which I know you're working through.
Yep.
Have you gotten any comments at this point in time, one way or the other?
Not yet,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
And I don't think we're expecting anything, being that, so the change in total trips was 2 at peak time. So it jumped from 119 trips at peak time to 121. So, I mean, it's less than 1%.
But you don't have any concerns with this being conditional on those being granted the way they were before these changes, right? Because if we lose one of those right outs, then we got a catastrophe.
Yeah, I would say we're okay with that being conditional of PennDOT approval.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, we need those for our site to function, correct?
right.
And it keeps the pressure off of Newberry as
Yeah.
well, right?
Yep.
A lot of people are just going to come in right off 50 and they keep going home. So going home side, far corner, they don't have to come back to the intersection again.
So there was mention of the pass-through to the Koski property. So just to be clear, that's not part of this approval, right? So everything is working with your traffic study regardless of that. it's not dependent on that. But you feel that there may be in the future the ability for something to be there. I mean, I see you have it striped for parking now, but are you indicating
It
some?
actually just jogs right around and keeps going right across.
Yeah,
the
they
property
would
line there.
just come through here, and if anything future happens over here, we left a spot for them to.
Oh, okay, I thought it was in the,
There's a spot there of 24 feet.
I thought it was the back, I didn't see in the front. I got you,
Yeah.
okay,
But if anything happens there, they're gonna have to get
Okay.
land development approval.
okay.
And
Yep,
confirm.
I didn't want to add that confusion to it, but again, nothing that we're approving is dependent on that, that's just,
Correct.
okay.
That's kind of bonus. That
Yep.
it's, yeah.
It'll help in the long run if something does happen. there.
It'll alleviate traffic coming out on the 50 if they don't have to.
The other thing, this entrance and exit off of Newberry, we line that up with Gateway Retail. That way, that it's not a.
Was that lined up before also?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
It kind of is. It was on John's property and our property. It's kind of, yeah.
So it's lined up as much as we possibly can with the site constraints. There's some utilities there that it may not be perfect, but we tried to get it directly across.
I think it is now, yeah. Where it exists today, it's not quite.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. And then we have crosswalk across there as well. And I think that's what we talked about. Eventually, if we're successful, because the whole 79 project kind of held it up, but John owns that rail bridge right behind the gateway. If we could actually make that a pedestrian pass all the way under 79 into Bridgeville, so people had a safe way to get out. And if we needed to do, we have a crosswalk there now, so they could crosswalk it, but if we needed to elevate that or something in the future, we certainly could do that. They'd take a bump kind of thing, whatever you call that.
So when this came through 3 years ago, that entrance onto Newberry was one of the more talked about items. And the fact that traffic leaving Newberry, coming out the Millers Run Road and 50, routinely stacks in that area. And one of the conditions that was put on the approval with the board was that a post-development traffic review be conducted at some point in time. And I think that's something we should talk about if you want to impose that, again, with this approval, to look at how those movements are working. If there is, like, if this exasperates the stacking in that area and whatnot, and if we can possibly do anything remedial to alleviate any congestion there or conflict.
The only, we're open to making everything work for everybody, right? The only concern I guess I would have is tenants. Is we get tenants to commit, they're committing to this site plan and these accesses. So I wouldn't want all of a sudden it to be choked down and, hey, you can't access here or something like that.
Craig, I don't think there's much we could do internally.
Yeah,
I think
right.
if we had to do anything after the fact, it would have to be on Newberry Drive itself, or maybe there'd be a stop bar that would, or no blocking of the intersection or something
Yeah.
along. I mean, a
We're
signal
good
is
with
not going to.
all that is great, right? Because that's good for everybody, right?
Absolutely.
I just wouldn't want to all of a sudden, hey, you can only have a right in, right out on Newberry. Now these tenants are going to be like,
I understand that.
they approved this site plan, it goes in their lease, and now if that gets changed, I'm like, I don't know what that does for us.
Just for a little more comfort level, PennDOT is looking at that also. With their vision of the revised impact study and whatnot, that's obviously a part of what they're looking at here as well. So obviously, if they find conflict, which they did not with the previous one. So I would, based on the negligible increases in traffic flow, our traffic engineers don't expect there to be anything that comes up with this.
Yeah, the two cuts on 50, I think that's why we got both of them,
Yep.
because it alleviates a lot of pressure on Newberry. Yeah. And they're easy,
You would
they're
think
right in,
most
right out.
people exiting the site to go that way, away from, are going to go out those exits.
Yeah, they're going home.
So I'm not following what an example would be of having that traffic study done that they might propose that wouldn't be an issue with the applicant. You're saying that
the improvements would be on Newberry Drive and not
Right, they wouldn't
within,
be
this.
my point is
this-
they wouldn't be internal to the development. They would, any improvements that would have to be made remedially would probably, would be on Newberry.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if it's things like do not block intersection, we're good with all
Yes.
that, right? I just wouldn't, because it's on Newberry and
You don't
not on
want
our
to
site,
restrict
it's not
left
impacting
turns
our
out of your
tenants.
development to go back towards Topgolf or things of that nature. I understand that.
Yeah, that's what would impact our tenants and our leases, yeah. But if we need to do things on the don't block intersection, things like that, that's good. I don't know how you quantify that. In the end, we're a community center, we're serving the community, and our tenants are serving the community, so we want to do what's best for everybody here and what's right, so.
Seems like it could be adding a stop sign on the way down. I don't know.
On Newberry?
Yeah. Leaving BJ's headed towards Miller's Run Road. That's the spot that, we've had concerns about people coming around that inside corner, not having a great line of sight. I did notice that the parking that is super tight is on the Miller's Run side so that a car isn't obstructing somebody's view to the left coming down. So I appreciate that.
We could add that if you wanted us to add signage out there on Newberry, that's fine to make that safer. Whatever makes it flow better, if it becomes an issue.
I think that's the point. I mean, if we're seeing, conflict and an additional congestion and whatnot, I think those are the steps that we're gonna have to collectively come to. And I think that we should probably put that language in the developer's agreement as well. I mean, assuming the board is, okay with that type of, condition.
For the post-project,
Correct.
So this post-traffic study was already recommended.
It was
So we don't
previous
need to,
approval. It
so,
was.
so,
This is a brand new approval, so I mean, if you're, going to impose that condition, I would make it part of your motion.
it feels like I'm a little confused by that because we've got variances that carried forward. So why wouldn't something like that carry forward?
I'll let the attorney speak to it, but one's a zoning matter as opposed to a planning.
Yeah, and at this
Thing.
point
Okay.
in time, we're not really
Okay.
requesting a reapproval.
So we
This
should-
is-
Sorry.
Okay.
This is a new application.
Yep.
So,
All right, that helps me. So we're going to, it doesn't sound like you have any issue with that still happening. I just don't want it to be that we're doing something that you're just going to oppose anyway.
No, like I said, we can't all of a sudden have that choked down. Hey, you can really make.
yeah.
Right.
And I
turn
think,
units
Craig,
there
maybe both sides
for our
are going to
tenants.
work together on the exact language of that.
Yeah.
At developers agreement time. that-
Yeah, I mean,
that
I'm
both
happy
sides
to
are
make that
comfortable with.
intersection flow better, whatever that looks like. I just can't commit to tenants when at least with that exhibit,
Understood.
choke them out.
So are we going to be able to do this in a way that it's the exact same language as before, right? Whatever it is that they said was part of the last submittal, we just want it to be the exact same. So I don't know how to reference that, how you'll reference that in the motion, but I don't think we want to change anything. We don't want it to be less, more, same.
Yeah, I don't think we got to the point of the developer.
We did not. We didn't, but there was a board approval letter that had that language in it.
So that's all we want
can give
to,
it verbatim.
that's all we want to say is,
And it was pretty
Same.
general, Tom, that basically.
yep, that's fine.
Yep.
So I don't think it was specific to say how it might be worked. And
It was not.
I feel like a stop sign headed that direction, it sounds like they wouldn't necessarily be opposed to that as a solution if there is a problem.
And I think.
Well, it sounds-
not to speak
it
for you,
sounds-
But especially minimal corrective items like signage and.
Absolutely.
It sounds
I don't
like
think- They're not agreeing to signals and widening and things like that. Yes.
this would be a collective once Newberry was built out. More of a traffic study for the whole development, and then come up with the best course of action throughout the whole development. Is that correct?
I mean, our intention was, at the conclusion of this development or in some agreed upon percentage of occupancy of this development. I mean, quite frankly, when this one's 100% occupied, we should know if they're causing
But
conflict. and what.
our traffic counts probably aren't gonna impact that, but at Bass Pro, to your point,
Yeah,
2 years from now, or whenever they open.
well, that's,
could
it
really
would, it would
impact.
have to be something that
Different
would be
matter,
ongoing
right.
almost and
Yes.
through the build out of the development.
I mean, we need that intersection to work, so we're in, right? Whatever that looks like as we go down the path.
I think of an intersection right in Robinson, you know, out from Mad Max, as you're coming up the hill, it's 2 lanes both directions. There's really ugly full access intersection, but they put the stop signs there as you come up towards Steubenville Pike. And that's kind of what I'm imagining here as you head towards that intersection. I think the double stops would keep it safer. And also, you got the crosswalk right there, and I don't think that condition exists over at Robinson instance.
It might just be stops coming out of Newberry, so they don't block that intersection, right? And it might not be coming in, because I think PennDOT may have an issue with backing up the traffic light.
Correct, I agree. I think it's just on the way
But on the way
back
out,
towards
maybe
Miller's
there's a
Run
stop
Road.
sign. Yeah, I could see that.
But it sounds like, I think the language that we've got contemplates that sufficiently. Do you agree? Okay.
So as long as we're talking about that intersection, can you zoom in on that intersection on Newberry a little bit, please? So when I see that intersection, the first thing I think of is the one across from it, and that one's not great.
Yeah, it's not good.
So,
At least ours come straight in instead of having to come
Yeah.
in and turn.
so the thing that I see here, and I don't understand why it's like that, it's probably a reason, and I'm sure it was looked at. So someone leaving here and making the right, is there a reason why that is so abrupt? Because it feels like the car's gonna come out. I know this is probably not very, just enough wide enough. So I'm just curious why this isn't more rounded like that. Is there something there?
We could fix that, right, Joe?
We can certainly look at that. We have run turning templates, but we can certainly look at that radius, and that's a.
And I'm not suggesting you do it, I'm just saying it just jumped out at me and it looks like it would be easier, but maybe there's a reason why it has to be like that to control the flow better, I don't know.
What's the width of that? Is that 24 feet?
24.
Yep.
Is there a reason it's that narrow?
So with those entrances,
That's
if you
the
make them
standard.
wider, you give people options of where to go, and then you get 2 cars parked up there, one wanting to go straight, one to where that's the standard 24 feet wide. It kind of keeps the order as far as one car.
So all of your truck traffic will have to come in off of Miller's Run Road. They won't work through, they should try not to be working through that.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
yeah.
Any large trucks, they're gonna utilize
They
these
should.
easier entrances.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have full circulation, fire safety, deliveries, everything, yeah.
In the back, we did make that drive aisle a little bit wider to get those deliveries.
Can't completely make it out. It looks like it's an R5, and on the other side, it's, I think, an R11. So I think Tom's got a good catch there, just to probably match that.
Yeah, we can, that's a simple change.
Unless Jason sees a reason not to.
No, I mean, they did provide documentation that the movements work through there,
Yeah.
so we did review from that
Yeah.
aspect, but, no, I mean, we wouldn't be against it, that's for sure.
Yeah, I like rounding that out a little better. I drive a truck, so
Mm-hmm.
it's a little easier.
Yeah.
What else?
Joe, did you have any
Sorry,
issue
one
with
more.
any of the other items that were?
Just one thing that was caught in this review that wasn't captured in the original review was we would like to request modification. Within the land development, it specifies that if you have more than one entrance to a corner lot with double frontage, a
third
in
one.
the Salvo Land Development Code, that would go underneath the modification versus the variance.
How many linear feet apart are those two Miller's Run Road accesses center to center?
That whole building's close to 600.
Yeah, I was say it's pretty far.
PennDOT was okay with it.
21577C for double frontage lots.
I'd say roughly 500 feet.
Yeah. That's a lot of frontage.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't use it.
I hear you.
So just an item for clerical probably, and it probably would have been better on the last agenda item, but I know when the Gateway Shops went through, it used to be 84 Lumber, there was Railroad Spur that was completely eliminated and turned back. Is there anything left on this property related to that Railroad Spur that needs to be dealt with?
Salvaged, I mean, when John owns it.
I mean, paperwork wise, does the railroad have?
Terminating easement or,
And as far as the environmental side, we've done environmental assessments
Yeah,
for all that.
good. But that wasn't what I was asking, but perfect.
you're
Good.
referring to title?
Yeah, we ran title, I think we're all good, but I'll double check, but yeah, we've run title.
And to tell you, I'm not even sure the railroad owned that. It might have all been, the spur might have been owned by 84 Lumber, so maybe the railroad didn't even own the spur. Okay, as long as you are all comfortable with that, and there's nothing on paper that still shows some railroad right away there. Okay,
And the county did not comment on that.
okay.
We have been working for 4 years with the electric company to bury all the lines there too. So we think we have a plan now. They take a long time. So we think we maybe finally have a plan to be able to bury all the utilities here, so we won't have all those power lines and poles running across in front of the site. But it's a mess.
Or anything else? So do you feel you have what you need for the post-traffic study to just reference that, or is there certain language we want to add there? And then I don't think there's any mention of the variances needed, right? Because that's
No.
all, it's just
It would just
information
be
for us.
the
Okay,
prior language plus the modification for the third access point.
The Allegheny County is from back in '23, correct?
okay.
9/8.
And then he had mentioned this modification. So is that in your review letter?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
It's under
So
21577C.
it doesn't need to be re-referenced.
And it's our comment number 10 under subdivision land development comments.
good. All right, let's see what we got
All right.
here.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of SP-01-2026 Lafayette 180 Plan Shopping Center Preliminary and Final Land Development Application, parcels 256L1, 2, and 9, conditioned upon GTE review letter dated 2/19/26, Allegheny County review letter dated 9/19/23, and including the language relative to a post-construction traffic assessment and potential improvements which would not preclude from right in, right out. At least right in, right out.
Second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, we'll move to agenda item 7, acceptance of applications. We got a few here. 7A, we have review and consider for acceptance S02-2026 Smith Henny Lot Line Adjustment Plan, preliminary and final minor subdivision applications, parcels 328G13 and 328G30, zoned R2. Give us a quick overview of what that is.
So this is a culmination of properties that are in both South Fayette Township and Collier Township. Majority of the acreage is in South Fayette, but the structures are all contained within Collier. And this lot line revision is simply to adjust the lot line to include this barn area in here onto this parcel. They have provided the required documents for the subdivision. Now, this will need to get approved both in South Fayette Township and in Collier Township, so they will have to go through this exercise with Collier as well. But everything that was required for submittal purposes has been included. So our recommendation would be for acceptance of the application. I know that there are some representatives here. If anyone wanted to speak to this, you can, but it's not required.
Yeah, sure. Just real quick. I'm Todd Henwood. I'm the survey director for Scheffler and Company. We prepared the plan, and that was a great explanation. We have received comments from both Allegheny County and Collier Township. Nothing major. We'll be sure to get those addressed before we resubmit for approval. But other than that, I think that's that's about it. There are some non-conforming existing structures there, but I think that was primarily for Collier to kind of deal with. Other than that, I don't have anything. Thank you.
All right, can we get a motion to accept agenda 7A?
So move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item B, review and consider for acceptance PPE 2025 Hastings Master Plan revisions, preliminary land development application, Mayview Road, Zone ND, neighborhood design.
I'll jump into that quickly. So we have two applications that relate to the Hastings development. The first of which, as you mentioned, is the master plan revision. So the master plan for charter homes at Hastings was originally approved back in 2016, and it designated specific parcels for residential, for commercial, things of that nature. And for the most part, they've stuck with that plan. There have been a few departures. For instance, phase 4 was originally intended for residential apartments. It ended up being townhomes, single families, that type of thing. We didn't come back through with a revision to the master plan at that point in time because we weren't changing from residential at that point. The phase 5 portion of the property was originally designated as a commercial development, and now they're proposing it for residential purposes. And that's when internally we decided that it should probably come back through the Planning Commission for a reapproval of the master plan, and then ultimately, if successful, they can move forward with the final land development plans for that residential application. So the applicant and their consultant have provided, revised plans that show the proposed changes.
Okay.
We will obviously review. We feel like what they provided is enough to adequately review it, provide you a letter, and ultimately have the Planning Commission make a recommendation on that revision.
All right, we'll just do both of these separate. So can I get a motion for accepting 7B?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then 7C is review and consider for acceptance in F01-2026 Hastings Phase 5 preliminary and final minor subdivision application, parcels 571A10, zoned ND. Anything new you want to add on this one, or you covered them both? Any questions on this one?
When we see them next month, presumably, will the subdivision precede the land development or vice versa? Does it matter?
In the case of this application, it would be concurrent for subdivision land development.
Okay.
And then the master plan will come first. Yes.
Okay.
So obviously, if the recommendation is to not approve the revision to it, then, you know, ultimately, you reject that application.
All right, so agenda item 7C. Motion to approve? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you had comments. Absolutely. Just come up and state your name, and appreciate you being here.
My name is Linda Santolini, and I'm a resident in the Hastings community. The Hastings Neighborhood Association established a Hastings Future Committee last year, and just last month formed a transition team to look into progress made in the completion of our neighborhood and to document areas of concern and identify potential deficiencies. We became aware of this meeting and plans for Phase 5 and decided it's important for us to be here to hear about the plan and offer our brief perspective. I am speaking here on behalf of the HNA Board, the transition team, and our neighbors to stress that as you consider approving Charter's Phase 5 plan, that so far the homeowners have some concerns about the completion and, where necessary, remediation of issues in Phases 2 to 4 and even Phase 1, which even though it is already turned over to the Township. We really like living in Hastings and believe that Charter generally strives to do a good job. The HNA is active, and we are working to understand the Township's construction standards, the approved plans and records for our community, while focusing on working with Charter and the Township as Phase 4 construction winds down. We are also trying to understand how the bonds required by the Township are satisfied since our neighborhood was constructed in these multiple phases. Let me remind that according to the published plans, Hastings Phases 1 to 4 include 12 public roads. 6 of the 12 have been turned over to the Township, either in whole or in part. Phases 1 to 4 include 28 private roads and alleys, and Phase 5 proposes 2 additional private roads. We are genuinely concerned about being responsible for so many private roads and alleys, over 70% of the roads in Hastings. By the way, I don't believe this definition of private roads in the construction standards meet the classification of the roads in Hastings. The condition of these private roads when they are turned over mattered very much to the homeowners and our HNA. The HNA strongly believes that Braybank Street in Phase 5 should be a public road consistent with South Fayette construction standards, and also because it is the only access point for municipal and public safety vehicles and intersects with Mayview Road. So I'm going to offer some examples of our concerns, not to be considered inclusive. As you and I are aware, we're concerned about the timeline for final paving of our public and private streets and alleys. Phase 2 has had unfinished roads for over 5 years now. We have previously informed the Township that we need additional street and traffic signs as required by the standards and in the interest of public safety, and also published in the master plans. In particular, Charter and South Fayette Township agreed that certain streets were to have a 15-mile-per-hour speed limit, yet no street signs are posted. This includes Hastings Crescent in front of the stores where residents are very concerned about speeding. The island that exists just below crossroads causes constant confusion for drivers and walkers and is a safety issue. We have concerns about the condition of trails and sidewalks and the condition of existing or missing ADA-compliant sidewalks and crosswalks. The livelihood of trees throughout Hastings, a design feature of the neighborhood, is an ongoing cost and concern. Charter received a number of modifications based on their stated plan to preserve mature sycamore trees. Unfortunately, they damaged those trees during construction, forcing us to remove 7. We are afraid more will need to come down in the future. We are asking for reimbursement for the costs of removal and replacement. There's no street light at the intersection of Mayview Road with Hastings Crescent or Hastings Park Drive, and the proposed Phase 5 will include another intersection with Mayview Road that will certainly require lighting. We are in the process of documenting these in detail and other issues, and will provide details to the Township and Charter in the coming months. We are respectfully asking that Charter and South Fayette work with the Hastings residents on these issues and develop a plan and timely schedule to address the issues identified. The completion of items for the first 4 phases should not be delayed due to the addition of Phase 5 if passed, and instead addressed concurrently with the completion of Phase 4. Thank you for your attention. I hope you consider these issues.
Can I ask a question, please?
Of course.
So, well, first off, super helpful. I appreciate you taking the time to put that together. And maybe I'll ask Abby or Gary or both. Can you just make sure that that document is very easily accessible to us?
If you could just send it to us.
I can put it into the Dropbox. I was the one that requested the information.
Okay.
If you could just send it to us once you get it.
So, just a brief comment, because I feel like I would like to comment because of all the time and effort you put into this. First off, there's a lot there. I don't think all of it is planning commission things, but I definitely heard things that are very relevant for the planning commission, so I appreciate that. There was a comment about a road that I think you said is in Phase 5 that you all are recommending be built to township standards and be a township road as opposed to a private road. Was that the comment? And my question is, can you tell me the name of that road, because I missed it?
The name of the road is Braebank Street, Braebank. It's
Okay.
the main road coming
Got it.
with the cul-de-sac. So we've reviewed the construction standards. I want to just remind you, we are just getting started. I have literally been on this team for 2 weeks. So, I've done a lot of research into the plans. We don't have everything yet. I just received a lot of information from Abby. But all of these private roads, according to the construction standard, a private road has less than 5 residents. And almost none of the roads that are designated private in phases 1 to 4 have less than 5 residents. And, there's municipal, and safety issues on those roads. And as I said, it really was a surprise to us as a homeowners association to understand that we may be responsible for over 70% of the roads in Hastings. That's a huge financial burden. So, I think we would like to address that, and we also would like to be part of the turnover, because if it is going to be a turnover to the homeowners, we need to make sure that it meets our expectations as well as theirs. But the specific ask in this meeting is that we get a commitment from both Charter and South Fayette that as we identify the issues and provide those details to both Charter and South Fayette, that they get addressed concurrently with completion of Phase 4. We do not want these to stretch out through the completion of Phase 5. As I said, I live in Phase 2. I've been here for over 5 years, and I still have an unfinished road.
All right, again, so thank you. Thank you. Yep, go ahead.
So the declarant, I'm guessing is the correct term for charter homes in this instance, the developer. Basically, they have all these obligations to you and to the community, just like you're saying. And the process for the turnover is at some point you get so many residents that actually own their property, and then they can take control as the HOA, or I guess maybe it's an HNA in this instance.
Neighborhood associations, it's called HNA, yes.
Yeah, so that's probably the HOA's
Yes,
name.
it is.
So just as you are getting up to speed, if you're not already there, it's up to you to accept that the declarant and the developer has done everything they're supposed to do. So if they're a traditional developer, going to take that off of their hands as soon as they can. So it sounds like you guys are going to be really responsible about how that process works. And so I'm with Tom. I can commend you for getting your act together. But you've got like a month to figure out what you want to do coming into the meeting next month. And it might get resolved next meeting. We might talk about a bunch of stuff and table it, but you want to have your ducks in a row in a month.
Well,
I don't know if you want to add any more to that, or you, Tom.
I don't know that we could make this approval or not conditioned on any of this.
Agreed.
But I agree with what you're saying to them and giving them some things to think about and work on.
Experience.
Sure.
So you basically said that a lot of this is not planning commission items. Is it zoning? Where else do we turn? Because like the street signs and some of the other things, I think are the responsibility of South Fayette, the designation of private roads. I mean, do we need to go to another meeting and present some of those issues?
So here's my kind of summation of this the best I can. To some of the points that were made here, you understand this is just the acceptance of the application. We'll be reviewing it in the next meeting. I know you all are very busy, but hopefully you'll be able to be here. There are changes to the master plan that the developer is requesting. All the changes that they're requesting will be reviewed by this board and then recommended to the township commissioners. So as you'll see from the agenda and the way it's laid out for next month, which you'll have a couple of weeks before the meeting, you'll see the things that are directly related to the planning commission. A lot of what you're saying isn't. Now, to your question, what is and what isn't? And I don't mean to put our township manager on the spot, but he's the best person to answer that question.
Okay.
John's very easy to work with. I'm sure he'll give you very good direction on, this is your zoning hearing board items. These are things that you got to work with the planning commission. These are things you work with the commissioners. These are things that you have to work out internally with your own HOA or HNA. So
Yeah, we know that some of
Yep.
it is our responsibility
Yep.
and some of it is charter
Yep.
and some of it is the township. It's just, we wanted to stress that the issues we brought up, we haven't been able to
Yep.
flesh them out in tremendous detail. Just
Yep.
we haven't had time. So we're just getting started.
Yep.
But like you said, we have a month to get our ducks in a row.
good, John?
Yeah.
Good.
We've worked with,
Yep.
maybe not you directly, but members of the HOA before. We've had meetings here. We've provided, documents. We're happy to work through this together. To your question of like who would deal with this, I would say for things that have already been approved and now you're kind of like dealing with not quite what it was supposed to be or there's issues with it, I would say work with myself and staff on those. For issues like phase 5 that you might have concerns with or for changes to the master plan, then, this board and the board of commissioners would be who to work with. But if it's for, the phases 2 that are already approved, these guys aren't going to be able to help you
Right.
too much. But we're happy to work with you and we'll continue to do so.
We appreciate that. Okay.
All right, good? All right, so we did make a motion, we had a second, right? I don't think we approved that, did we?
Well, I think we both said aye, so,
Okay.
and it was approved, and
Okay.
then that's when
So
there
let's
was a
just to be
comment.
sure, we got a.
I believe-
A motion,
That was for the master plan, I believe,
Yeah.
not for the.
right, so we got a motion, we got a second, any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries for the acceptance of the application for the 7C. Thank you. All right, open discussion.
So just for point of clarity, we are still having a March meeting.
Oh, that's right, this shortened because this one's late.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yes, so it'll be the fourth
Sorry.
Thursday.
yeah, yeah.
And so these items that were accepted tonight will be fully heard at that meeting.
March 26th,
Fourth Thursday.
and it's at 7 o'clock.
Anything for open discussion? Good point, I forgot that we're kind of on a late meeting here.
I will, if I could. I know one of the items that you had concern with was the private versus public road. In developments, the developer does have the option to maintain a private street versus a public street. They get a little bit of relief
from design standards and whatnot. That 5-lot item that you're noting is related to minor subdivisions and whatnot on private roads. In developments, it is different. And there have been a number of developments that, quite frankly, it's the developer's option if he wants to do that. There are certain advantages in the development and approval process. They can go, and honestly, it favors a development like this where you have close-knit density and whatnot. Maybe townhomes is one that comes to mind. That's entirely private. The advantage to the township is, obviously, they don't have the ownership and the maintenance responsibilities of that road. But I'll say this, the township, the planning commission, no one's ever encouraged a developer since we've been here to be private or public or whatever. It's ultimately the choice of the developer.
Yeah, but our concern is that, you know, private roads are developed, and I'm not a construction engineer, and unfortunately our expert is not.
Sure.
Yeah. But, you know, you're not designed to have municipal vehicles like garbage trucks and such, you know, driving on these roads. And, you know, and we're such a tight-knit community, and if there's concerns about the road construction with having municipal vehicles. And these are just things that, like, we're questioning, because if we have to maintain these in the future and they start to, you know, really deteriorate, we're going to be the ones up front.
I will say Hastings and every other development that's come through with private roads, while they get some relief from widths and things of that nature, they don't really get relief from the integrity of the road as far as the base goes, the paving, that type of thing. We do review turning movements for garbage trucks, for fire engines, that type of thing. So they still do have to comply with those items.
Okay, I have seen that. Is there a section of the construction code regarding the neighborhood development?
We can pass that through staff, yes, absolutely.
Regarding specifically road designations and construction?
Yes, there is.
Thank you.
Put it in the Dropbox for you.
Thank you, Abby. There's a lot of stuff to go through.
Yeah.
Do you have anything, Gary? No. Good.
Good.
We motion to adjourn, please?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.